welcome back to a Weekly Manga Podcast book club series where we are doing an exploration and deep dive into the weekly shonen magazine series GACHIAKUTA by Kei Urana. My name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel, and of course joined again by my constant co-host Gautam.
Hello, hello.
This week we are covering Volume 4 of the series, which covers chapters 23 through 31. Let's start with some quick thoughts on the volume and the series so far. I think we are both enjoying and loving it so far. Gautam, how did you feel about this group of chapters in Volume 4?
It was the Pirates of the Caribbean 2 of GACHIAKUTA, where it does a lot of setup. And it's all good setup. Yeah, I dig it. Good volume. How about you?
Yeah, I also enjoyed it. I had the same feeling. After Volume 1, I guess, I'm getting the feeling that we're going to go through a sort of like one volume of setup, one volume of kind of action excitement. That kind of seems like the momentum that we're going at here, because
I'm about it. Personally.
Yeah, because this volume, which I agree, I did also feel like a lot of setup, a lot of kind of lower stakes type stuff. But at the end, it ended us with a kind of cliffhanger where it's like, okay, what's coming is probably more action and more excitement. So
there's like a lot of slice of life stuff, which I appreciated. A lot of character stuff in general. A
lot of good character stuff. I think a lot of I detected what I think is a lot of foreshadowing in this one. I don't have any way to know if it's true or not until we keep reading, but there's a lot of stuff in here that felt sort of like, oh, that feels like it's nodding or like implying something that we may get later. So
point it out as we go through it.
Yeah, I definitely will. So speaking of funny slice of life chapters, chapter 1 here is kind of a goofball chapter.
I love this intro because it's like clearly the author knows that this kind of panel is like, oh, we're thrown in the middle of an arc. Here are the stakes. Here's the threat kind of a situation.
Yeah, like, oh, it looks creepy. This monster is coming out. And yeah, Fat Bubble Rudo is
yeah.
So there is, even though this is kind of a funny, strange little interlude, there is still some good world building, I think, still in this. They talk about sort of Rudo asks Engine, like, how come the bad guys can use vital instruments? How come they can be powerful? And Engine kind of explains it's like goodness or badness as a human being has nothing to do with whether or not you can be a giver. Like, you don't have to be a good person or a bad, you don't have to be a good, caring person about other people or, selfless or whatever to care about a thing you possess or to be invested in, some historical family heirloom or whatever. So I think that was a good, I like that as world building because I think we as readers have the same question, whether we dismiss it or explore it or not, thinking like, well, yeah, good people care about their things, but bad people don't, bad people throw everything away. And this very clearly says, like, no, like the bad guys care about their stuff too. They're just like us. So I like this part.
Yeah, alignment has nothing to do with it. It's like we all have things we care about ultimately, and that's what he's saying. It makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing was there was I don't remember if I grabbed a line of it. There was a line in this chapter where Engine, I think, says something like, oh, you can't go solo into no man's land. And Rudo's like, well, you did. And it's just kind of brushed over. But we saw this, I think, in the last volume. I think in volume 3, or maybe volume 2. I think it's maybe in volume 2. We saw someone else kind of calling out, like, Engine, what were you doing in no man's land alone? Like, so.
Right. It was the lady with the eyes, who's like the acting receptionist type person, who mentions that. Yeah. Interesting. And, not to change the subject too much, but it's like right after this panel, right before Rudo gets introduced to the concept of sweets. Yeah. Him and Rio are having like a funny back and forth, seriously talking about like sweets, like with stern faces. And they're kind of getting to know each other. And there's this like little funny line that Rio has where Rudo's like, yeah, up on the surface, they just like bullied me and all that stuff. And to make Rudo feel better, she's like, don't worry, there are bullies down here too. And I think it's like she was trying her best to make Rudo feel at home, saying like, "Oh, things are the same as up there, you know, like we have that too." But it's like incredibly conversationally tone deaf. I love it.
I like her.
Her
I
name
think
is Rio, right?
I think Rio is right. Yeah, Rio.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll open the character page just in case we need to reference something. Rio.
It doesn't matter too much.
Rio. Yeah. So then we get this. Then it gets funny and goofy, where we are shown that Rudo did not have sweets on the sphere up top very much, and they introduce him to. They're like, "Oh, we have lots of sweets. We have people whose job it is to go and find sweets." And yeah, it gets goofy, and then we get this some like intense funny art when he eats the sweet. We're gonna say this probably every episode. This again strikes me very Okubo-esque. This is like the kind of panel that I would see in Fire Force or Soul Eater. Like absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Great reaction.
This is maybe my favorite part as far as funny goes, where the guy with the pacifier or whatever comes up and it just like starts looking at him and he's like, "I guess you can have some," and like gives us the thing and like asks for more. And he's like, "What's with this snot-nosed brat?" It's like, you don't get to call people that. Yeah, I thought this was hilarious. So
is that what he was doing when he stuck out his hand? He was like asking for more sweets than he got.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or at least Rudo was thinking that's what he wanted, because he doesn't actually ask for sweets. He just walks up and stares at Rudo. And Rudo's like, "Oh, I guess I have to give this guy some candy." He's like, here's one thing.
Is this a kid too, or do you think this is an adult?
I would guess that they're around Rudo's age, like, although it doesn't really tell us how old Rudo is. I would guess, like 15, 16, like shonen protagonist. Like, not like a 30-year-old man, but also
with
not
a
like
pacifier.
A kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It very well could be, though. I don't know.
I don't know. It could be.
Yeah. But then we get kind of the funny, like, Zonka wandering around, and runs into Fat Rudo. And we just get this, like, I don't know. This is a goofy turd face thing. But yeah, this is a fun chapter. So
yeah, this was just a slice of life kind of comedy chapter. It was good. Yeah,
but it was a good interlude. And I think something that I bring up a lot is something that I enjoy with action battle shonen like this, is that I want them to keep having fun. I do not want them to get too serious. That is something that I absolutely loved about Fire Force when I read it 2 or 3 years ago, was that it, even though it got into serious things, it would still crack jokes and make me smile and be fun and funny at the same time. And this one is hitting the same kind of beats, right? Where it's like, Rudo has been thrown from the place where he lived and was being bullied. But like you mentioned the joke with Rio being like, "Oh, don't worry, we have bullies here." Like that's like a serious moment where a guy's, bearing his soul essentially, and we still get a joke out of it. And this is just like a goofy chapter. So I like the GACHIAKUTA still having a lot of fun.
There was a moment at the end of Soul Eater, spoilers, but that the kid's dad passes away, and he's giving like a really touching eulogy about how he'll carry on as well. And Excalibur, the most annoying character, like intentionally annoying character, just starts interrupting him and starts talking about inane bullshit during this heartfelt. It's like there's so many moments like that in Okubo's writing, and I think there's like a page taken out for sure. You're right.
Yeah, like you can absolutely tell that Urana is straight out of that school.
Yeah.
So moving on to chapter 24. This chapter, they try to kind of train Rudo's vital instrument, his gloves. They kind of are trying to figure out how it works. They give him like some regular stuff and like, "Here, try to use this." It doesn't work. Zonka smartly says like, "Hey, maybe you're only attached to trash." And it turns out that yes, it is only trash. So things that are sort of like well taken care of, or mediocrely cared for, I guess, do not work with Rudo's power, which again I think is another good kind of limitation on the power set here. It literally has to be something that's like discarded or trashed. So for him to get it, so.
And I another reflection on the character himself is like Rudo's power works on things that need fixing, and he goes out of his way to like his character trait is fixing the things that society doesn't care about, and I assume that means people too.
Yeah, or just caring about the things, even if it isn't necessarily fixing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but we get, I don't remember. Okay, I didn't grab it, but Engine like compliments like, I knew you'd be a good trainer, Zonka. And Zonka does the like blush, like notice me senpai type thing, which I think is
his
fun.
love of validation.
Yeah. This was a kind of a bit more power lore explanation, which I thought was interesting. Engine is explaining like the longer someone gives their object TLC, which is tender loving care, in case you didn't know, the more seasoned and therefore better it becomes as a vital instrument. We refer to that as improving its quality. And then the next part, I think, is the most interesting part. This is the higher an object's quality, the more powerful it becomes. Quality alone won't make you good to fight. The power themselves matter too, and those are a reflection of the user experience and ideology. The point is they are both important. And then the part after that, essentially what he says is that you can be... is that essentially you can be given, I think this is in this chapter, right? Where it's like, essentially you can be given a powerful vital instrument. And if you have like a little bit of potential of being a giver, it like will awaken you.
It's in a later chapter.
Is that a later chapter? Okay, never mind. I thought that was in this chapter for some reason. Okay, never mind then. We'll get to that eventually. Rudo gets like a nosebleed from using his powers too much, which I think is a good, again, another like limitation on the power. He can't just use it, willy-nilly. It does take some out of him. This is where they talk about how when Rudo used the like the lucky charm kind of at the end of the last volume and fight, how it crumbled away and he was really sad about it. They point out that it's more that those discarded things have sort of like needs and wants, and if Rudo helps them fulfill them, then they kind of pass on. This is a very kind of like helping a ghost achieve the thing it wanted before it died. Did you know
this was an exorcism manga before you picked it up?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. This is Rudo kind of letting the item fulfill its purpose, and it is satisfied and crumbles. I.e., like you said, a ghost going to heaven or whatever, finding the release.
Yeah, kind of the same idea, but the ghost is a piece of trash. So
yeah, and that's like I think some savior vibes from the character and not in a bad way, in like a good way, in that is what his power does for these items and objects.
Yeah. And I think it's a good it's good like character development for Rudo to like have thought that what he was doing was wrong, that he destroyed the memento previously, but now to know that it's like, oh, if I use something and it goes away, that's a good thing for me to do. So I think that's that reinforces that him caring for trash is a good thing. So I think that's good.
And I think it's telling that he even thinks about that, right? I think if it were me and the object crumbled, I wouldn't think about the object at all.
Like, well, it was it was trash before, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They bring up again that Rudo's gloves seem to be part of a series of some kind. And then I'm glad that Jabber is not totally gone, because as a bad guy, I thought he was excellent.
Oh yeah.
And he is still around. We see him and the teleporting girl with the sort of manhole cover thing talking to who assumedly is their boss. Is this his helmet? I can't tell what's going on
I don't know
the bottom.
What that is.
Yeah. It's hard for me to tell if this is like on the gloves, but that's the same symbol that's on the back of Rudo's gloves. Is that sort of circle triangle thing?
I was wondering about the symbol.
And I can't. Yeah, I don't have a picture of it, but
that wasn't the same symbol tattooed on the back of their boss, right? Like the back of his neck.
Let me go check the volume 3. Because that was... Where did we see that? No, it's different. Because this is what was tattooed on the back. So it's a different
Illuminati eye.
Yeah, the Illuminati eye thing. So, yeah.
Okay, got it. We have like a Triforce type thing here.
Yeah, but I do believe this is the same symbol that's on Rudo's gloves. So, and this was... It was Jabber who initially told him, like, oh, that looks like the bosses, the same series as the bosses. So this is,
the boss is like implied to be Rudo's dad. Is
maybe
like what the play is, I think.
Or at the very least tied to where Rudo's gloves came from, which is his dad. So maybe there's like, I don't know, there could be a group or something that Rudo's dad belongs to that where he got the gloves that this guy's a part of, something like that. The way that this guy talks sounds like he's kind of messed up, like, is like not complete sentences. So I don't know. I think that it's likely it's Rudo's dad. I don't know. I think he either is or knows Rudo's dad. I think it might be more likely knows him, but who knows?
Yeah. I think the implication though is that they're on like opposite sides, which I guess it just makes narrative sense. But yeah,
but they're definitely tied together from that. Yeah, interesting things. Ruda, it does tell us that it does say series. It says Watchmen series, which I think implies that the gloves and whatever this guy is, I think it's his face mask is what we're looking at, but I don't know.
I have no
it's hard
idea.
to tell. Or maybe like chest plate or something. It implies that they're a part of something called the Watchmen series. I don't know if there's much to glean from that right now. I mean, obviously it's foreshadowing something later. The only real tie I could think of here was this volume. At the end of the volume, they're looking for, a girl who would watch people fall down and watch some people go up through the barrier. That seems to me maybe like that's a Watchman, like a job, or a Watchman person might be like that. So maybe so like it might end up that like the thing that saved Rudo from falling was like he's wearing the Watchman gloves, and if Watchmen are the people who are like allowed to go up and down through the barrier, maybe his gloves have something to do with that. I don't know. Make a lot of jumps here, but
yeah, I don't. Who knows? Yeah, it's tough to say. Either way, like the Necronomicon at the beginning of the series had the same symbol as well. So
good call. Yeah, that book,
noting.
The book that Regto had, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is all there's a mystery under here that's kind of very gently prodded at, but still interesting, I think. This chapter I liked a lot. It's chapter 25. It starts with Rudo like washing his gloves, and obviously being in pain from his hands kind of being uncovered. And then Rio is in his room, and they kind of have a not like
real quick.
Like
I think the glove moment says something about Rudo's character in that he takes care of these things despite the hurt it causes him.
Yeah.
And we saw it in the last arc. I think it's just like symptomatic that he prioritizes people and objects like this above himself. Yeah, it's a cool character trait.
Yeah, it's typical, but it's a different way, right? I think all of these shonen protagonists are very like self-sacrificing. But the way that it manifests for Rudo, I think, is different and interesting in that, he's willing to accept pain to care for trash. So
yeah, I think it's just a cool way to show it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But the other interesting thing is he talks to Rio about kind of his hands and his wounds. She says, like, those seem really painful. They don't look like burns. And Rudo says, I don't know what they are unless I can ask my cruddy dad. So this again is another kind of foreshadowing thing. His wounds are not normal wounds, and they don't look like normal wounds, right? They look like, I don't even know what they look like, right? They look like sort of like magical
bandaged.
Yeah, they look like magical bandaged things, which I don't know necessarily what that means, but
like the trunks of a tree.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this is all going to tie back together. The Watchmen series, the gloves, the wounds on his hands, his dad. Like, I think this is all kind of the same mystery from multiple angles. So yeah, but I like this foreshadowing and storytelling here. I think it's interesting. So she also has a line here that I think is more foreshadowing for potentially her backstory, history, or character, where she says, like, we do get a lot of things from our parents. Some are good, and it says, and some are bad, in like a very big panel with her kind of looking wistfully past. So I would assume something in her history has some, she has some bad parents at some point. Would be my guess. Is kind of, I think, the implication foreshadowing here. So
yeah, definitely.
So okay, so then we get
this is my favorite chapter of the series.
This next one?
Yeah, I thought this was awesome. The Graffiti Town?
Yeah, there's a little bit more in chapter 25 here.
I guess these two then. Yeah.
Yeah, so we get this idea that, like, everyone has their personal face mask from the builder guy, who's kind of like crazy and hole up in his room. And then they kind of are going on a new mission, which is to get a good luck spell cast on them by having an artiste draw on them. And they're going to a city of graffiti called Canvas Town. This is where the graffiti artist who is on the, title or the the cover of every volume is gonna pull his weight there. We get kind of the new cast of characters coming. Yeah, here they are. Delman is the name of the big guy. He gives me big like Armstrong vibes from FMA.
Yeah, I love him, dude. Delman and his partner are the calm dude. They're both pretty great.
Yeah, his name. I wrote his name down somewhere.
I wrote it down later, but
it's somewhere in there.
We'll get to that. I like the big guy.
Tamsy.
I like that he's the hype man of the group. Where
yeah.
when he screams and gets hype, everyone else gets hype too. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, very cool. We also kind of learn it's dropped like maybe like kind of nonchalantly, but it kind of tells you that Engin's team is called Team Akuta, which I think I have to remember like the breakdown of the title GACHIAKUTA, right? Gachi, I think, is the trash part. And so Akuta is the other part, which I don't remember. I'd have to look up. What does Akuta meaning? Japanese. I'm going to look it up because, oh no, Akuta is garbage. So, okay. I was backwards on that. So, Engine's team literally called Team Garbage, which is fun. So, and that I think is it for chapter 25. Yep. So this is chapter 26. The city of graffiti. A cool,
like a weird crater.
A cool spread here. Yeah. With a weird crater and a city in the background. The town isn't in this crater. The town's in the back here, right? Or is the town down in the crater?
I thought the town is in the shade of that crater.
Oh yeah, I guess that's it. I wasn't sure which we were looking at because there's also like a town in the background there. But I think you're right. I think it is in the crater. That makes sense.
Yeah,
because I think because the sign is stuff. Some more cool kind of powery stuff goes on here. There are these two guys who are trying to get into Canvas Town. That some kind of magic won't let them in, but Engine's just like, hey, as long as you don't, hold bad will, just walk in. And the givers just can walk in kind of without issue. So
right.
This is, I couldn't even grab all the pages I wanted to here just because it would have been too many, but like there's a lot of cool graffiti art here. And it is literally a chance for the graffiti guy to just like show off, which I think is really cool.
It's really sick. There's a lot of cool art here.
Yeah. My note literally says, find a nice way to say, let's suck dick on graffiti artists. Cause yeah, it is, I mean, it is really cool just like showing off an art. I think it's really neat. And really different. Like you just don't like I don't know how many manga have I seen where like there's real graffiti art in it. And it's like, this might be the only one.
Yeah, I know. It is very cool too.
Yeah. We get a little bit of Engine tells us about the person they're supposed to be meeting. That says like, oh yeah, he has like an artistic vital instrument, and he can sort of draw on you and tell you to give you protections, like nullify one attack, and then it happens.
And he doesn't really know how to describe the power too much.
Yeah,
like, and you kind of understand why he can't really describe it super well to Rudo a little later, but yeah.
Yeah, Engine's also a funny character because he's I don't want to say like he's not the smartest. He's like not a like he does not present as like a learned like teacher type person really. Like I
think he's intelligent.
Yes.
But let's continue this as we go because there's a reason he can't really describe it well. And
yeah.
I think it's explained.
So they run into this clearly main character designed girl who's like has the standout of like, oh yes, this is a character we are going to need to know later.
This is my favorite character so far.
Yeah, she's great. We then sort of end up in, I guess, a hospital, or they run into the mayor of town, and they're like, hey, we're looking for the guy who draws blessings or whatever, and they're like, oh, he just died. And they say, his successor has been named, and it's the girl they ran into, obviously. And I think that's the end of chapter 26. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and the girl's disposition is just like incredibly sad or her friend's death at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this because it like completely shifts in the next chapter. Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah. So we're introduced. This is Remlin Tysark, and this is the part where I got ahead of myself. So, the talking about successors and how if you have an extremely strong vital instrument, you can pass it down to someone, and they will be sort of awakened as a giver. Which is what happens between sort of this line of artists that are kind of this powerful. They call him like magician or spellcaster.
They basically put buffs on, like they draw buffs on people.
Yeah, which I think is cool. But this so this is where I wanted to talk about. I think it's possible, and I think the reason that we kind of have all of this display stuff in here is to tell us that, hey, Rudo's gloves are from his dad. I think it seems pretty heavily implied that his dad kind of knows what's going on the surface, or knows something about being a giver. And I do think it's potential that Rudo's gloves awakened him or helped awaken him as a giver. I think that just kind of lines up as a potential answer to a lot of things. So
for sure, I think so.
So morning Remlin, they just sort of an object can't become a vital instrument unless it's been cared for a long period of time, but a person who already has the predisposition to become a giver can sometimes gain those powers instantly by taking up a vital instrument, even if it wasn't originally theirs. Comes down to talent. This is the part where I'm like, okay, this is very, like, this is foreshadowing. Like, he looks down at his gloves, it says inheriting a vital instrument, and looks at his gloves. It's like, okay, cool.
Right.
And then she gets over it, which this is very, I think I know you like this. This is very Trigger-like to me, like the Trigger Animation Studio, where it's just kind of like, time to move on. They're over it. Let's go.
No, I really appreciated this part because, I mean, like, sure, she's not actually over it, but like she's giving her friend like an amazing send-off because she knows that's what he would want. And I thought this was a cool moment. It was like an awesome send-off, and I got like a little excited at the end of it, like with her art, drawing the art was like unhinged, insane, and exciting. Yeah. And I thought this was a cool moment. I love her disposition where she just shifted gears into taking action. Yeah,
and sort of like the standard like gremlin mode side character, I guess. I really like the end of this chapter too. I couldn't grab all the panels, but her whole sort of drawing and the fireworks, and the explosion and stuff. I think it's interesting here that Rudo remembers. I think this is Regto, but it could be his dad.
It's Regto.
I think that's Regto though.
That's
sort of as sort of he never really got a good chance, I think, to mourn Regto. So I think this is a super like,
it's a shared farewell.
Yeah, and it's really it's really good writing to put this in here, right? Like, everyone could kind of look up and watch at her celebrating her dead friend and be like, yes, it's very touching and heartfelt. But to sort of tie that back into the main character as like, oh yeah, I lost someone too who had cared for me, all my life. And I hadn't really, and this reminds me of that directly. That's like a very like true to life.
It's a statement on art. It's what art does for people, right?
Yeah.
Like, sure, it's for the artist, but it's for everyone, kind of a thing. And this is explained even more in the next chapter, where there's like full on meta commentary on making art in general.
When she's doing the casting spells. But yeah, we can go on. So the next chapter 28, again, I think this is probably done by the graffiti artist, I would assume. In the bottom part. Yeah. It all looks like it's all very good. Picture drawing and trash taking. But yeah, this is where we get sort of Remlin needs permission, if she's going to draw on a person for her spells to work. It doesn't work unless I get their permission. They say that's true back in, I'm going to say this guy's name is Job, or is it Gob? This is the way that in Arrested Development that Job Bluth spells his name.
Yeah, we'll call him the mayor.
Well, no, Job was the artist who died. The mayor has.
Oh yeah.
Job was
okay.
the.
Yeah. That was her friend. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I like that her vital instrument I think is one of the coolest ones because she is like ready to draw on people and it turns into a tattoo gun, which is cool.
I love that, and I love her stupid face.
Yeah, a beard.
Yeah, her little frog face. Yeah.
I think I wrote down here that I think this might be foreshadowing or might just be kind of tying things in the world together. I mean, we noted in volume 2, I want to say that Engine has a lot of tattoos. I mean, there's tattoos on the back of the leader guy of the cleaners. I'm wondering if those are tattoos with very sort of specific effects, maybe from the last artist or the one before or something, maybe from this Job guy. Maybe not. Maybe they're just regular tattoos, but I don't know. Something tells me that maybe that like if something happened to Engine and one of those tattoos like awakened and did something, I think this is planting seeds that could be a possibility. So
yeah, that's a good point. And we skipped the panel before this, but Engine is trying to parse how her abilities work, and she's just like, no, that's not how it works. Our powers all work due to fun and freedom, and it doesn't make sense to Engine at all because he is thinking on a technical level, whereas she is thinking on a very much vibes level.
Yeah,
and
vibes, emotion.
Yeah, and that's why, despite Engine being intelligent, he has trouble explaining it to Rudo earlier because it doesn't have a technical explanation. It has like a feelings based explanation.
For sure.
He still doesn't get it. So it's just one of those things where the mind of an artist is working differently than a mind of like a tactician. You know.
Yeah. It is not an Excel spreadsheet. There is no bullet point checklist how to make art. You have to. Creativity is different than that. So
yeah, it's not cause and effect like Engine kind of perceives the world. Her world is a little different, and that's why she's the only one who can do what she does, kind of a thing. Yeah,
and why she inherited from the guy who, and they mention in this chapter, maybe the last one, that like, oh, she like Job was just like her. Like he's like, right. Oh yeah, he had the same vibes as her. Like they had the same attitude towards art and the sort of free-willed, I'll just kind of travel around and draw on whatever anytime. Which that definitely lines up with that. So we get a little glimpse of sort of a tattoo drawn, or I guess not a tattoo. I guess it's just a picture.
We skipped the panel with the mayor. No, it's just not here. Don't worry.
Oh yeah.
So basically, the mayor, right as they leave, the mayor yells at two artists who demand that they won our contest. They should be the one who should inherit the brush. And he said, "You have no place here."
That's his part.
It's right here. Okay, yeah. He yells like they have no place here, and I thought this was like the author telling us their intent in how they make art and what they are looking for. And I think have you read Bakuman ever?
I've seen a little bit of the anime, but I have not read it.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So the methods of success for being a mangaka, according to that series, is you can either draw the manga the audience wants or draw the manga you want.
Yeah.
And those are two metrics or methods of success there. And it's clear, like the mayor chastising these people for only caring about prestige and fame and all that stuff is how the author kind of views how to be successful. And it's like, it's all about self-expression. It's all about the message and what art means to you. And it's not about chasing numbers.
My note here says like, this is a very meta comment from the authors of like, they are drawing for fun what they like to draw. This is not about drawing for other people. So yeah.
And it reflects, right? Like it's a series about trash. Like that's not something you would make if you're chasing mainstream success.
Yeah, for sure. We've mentioned it multiple times, but this is very much like, it very much is following in Okubo's steps, and the whole time that he's publishing Soul Eater and Fire Force, I think there's quite literally nothing else like those. There are other battle shonens, but these kind of three series, I guess you could include, what was the Soul Eater not? Was that the kind of interlude thing that he drew for a little bit?
I don't know if he did that or someone else.
I'm not sure. I don't remember. But yeah, all like Kei Urana with Gachiakuta and Okubo with Fire Force and Soul Eater, I would say. The whole time they're publishing, this is like, these are, I wouldn't say massively different, but these are very stylized, individualized, different from what's the normal meta of Battle Shonen the whole time they're being published. I think this is too. I don't think, I mean, I think you can compare this to other action Battle Shonen, but it's like, describing it as just another action Battle Shonen is like such a disservice to like, it's a lot more than that. Like it has like some of the coolest art, some of the most individual like style. Like this may be the most stylish. Like, is there a more stylish, like I can't think of a more sort of stylish mainstream action Battle Shonen as Gachiakuta. It just has its own.
I don't know if I can either.
It has its own character where like the style is a character of the story. I don't know, but yeah,
and also just like the themes and the pacing. It's like it's clearly the author doing what they want to do and not chasing mainstream success. It's like nothing would take this much time with their characters and like have these slice of life world building chapters, like a whole volume of world building.
Yeah.
At the very beginning of it's like this is just a risk if you're thinking on an absolutely cause and effect technical level, but she's not, as you can see from these last few chapters. She's thinking on an artistic level and doing whatever she wants, and I think it makes for a better story all around.
Yeah. I mean, luckily the meta commentary on it is better to sort of draw without caring about fame and doing it for yourself and for what you want to see. Luckily has paid off for her with fame and, you know, an upcoming anime adaptation and all that jazz, which I think
for sure
is good.
And it's also more validating when you or like more exciting when people like what you're passionate about versus something you just put out for money, you know?
Yeah. They don't directly comment on it, but I do think that it is kind of part of the meta narrative of these two chapters that people go to this town specifically to see this spellcaster person with this vital instrument to get them to draw for them. Like that's like the idea of being an artist who is sought out for their art and for what their art can do for people. Like they don't really comment on that, but I think that it says something that's the way that it's framed, right?
Right.
That, this group of, you know, people need this artist in order to do their job better. Like, and I think that again, they don't directly comment on it, but I do think the framing of it sort of implicitly shows that art is valuable and that everybody needs it and that it has a power. So.
And that's why these people wanted the brush, because they wanted the fame that goes along with it.
Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, it's so powerful and strong. You can do so many art things. And yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
So the rest of the chapter here, anything else on the sort of art in Canvas Town?
Oh, no, I was going to talk about the spooky TV.
Yeah. So they go and let Rudo pick out some trash. They're like, okay, like grab some trash because your power comes from trash. You need to make sure we have some. And then this is like the final page of the chapter, which is like which again is kind of more foreshadowing. This is what I mentioned. I think there's a lot of foreshadowing in this volume. The gloves look like Rudo's gloves. Is this the boss guy? Is this Rudo's dad? Is it both? I guess. I assume this is the boss guy would be who I think this is. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I have to imagine it's the boss / Rudo's dad.
Does it look like the boss guy? I have to go back and check now. Well,
the gloves have a symbol on it.
I think it is because he's got this little like bandana kind of thing here.
Yeah.
And I think that we see that in the TV also. We see the kind, here we see the kind of bandanas coming off him. So I think this is the boss guy. Yeah, the boss guy. So cool. I mean, again, it's just sort of a neat. That I think this is maybe my favorite, maybe my second favorite ending of any chapter in Gachiakuta so far. Because I think my favorite ending is the next chapter or two. Is just the best last page of any chapter. So moving on, chapter 29, there's a crazy man that's screaming like, I've done it. We are introduced to this guy. This is August. He's the guy who makes the gear for the cleaners. He makes a funny comment that he got measurements. The guy who makes the gear stuff for the cleaners. he makes a funny comment about how he got measurements on Rudo while he was asleep. And Rudo is like, wait, what? And he's like, it's very hard. You don't sleep very much, kid. I think Rio says something about that, but yeah.
He's just another character among our list of characters, and a fun one.
Yeah, another fun one, which is like, have we met anyone who's like, this is not a fun character? They're very boring. I feel like everyone we've met is like is fun.
Is a bizarre weirdo. Yeah.
Yes, which is consistent throughout the series. Yeah, I mean, again, a cool design. This is like, I don't know, he has a very kind of like hippie vibe, I guess, to me. Like the big head.
It's kind of funny that when we see Engine, he's kind of a larger than life character at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And he is the straight man throughout every single volume, because he is the most normal of the lot somehow.
Engine very much is, I take my job seriously. I do like that. Exactly what you said is a very good point. When Rudo first comes to Trash World, to the surface, Engine seems like a complete weirdo and totally like, what is this strange guy who's nothing like I know? And then once you know more people down here, it's like, oh, Engine is very straightforward and like does his job and is like not very not weird compared to other people.
In comparison, it's kind of a palette reset kind of a thing. It's quite funny.
We get a little bit more kind of lore power things. They talk about their kind of communication necklaces, which they gave one to Rudo. I don't think he didn't have one, but the helpers had one in the last kind of big battle arc. Then they tell us those callers, like, if you've shared blood, they all sort of like, they're like, hey, Rudo, take off your collar necklace. And they all kind of, it was a cool panel that I didn't grab, but they all like prick their fingers in different ways. Like Rio gets out her scissors and cuts her hand or whatever. And that was a cool panel, but I grabbed this one instead because I thought it was funnier to have the like, it's like, okay, so now like give us your blood.
Yeah. The fucking vampire panel. I love it.
Yeah, and it's funny. So that is cool and interesting there. This I think is this is the same chapter. So they go to no man's land. Remember they haven't really reminded us of, but they're looking for a woman who there was kind of a story of, who saw stuff going up through the barrier. They're going to ask her, how do you get up? What have you seen? What do you know? This place is called Penta. Again, this is a sick spread. Okay, this is the end of the chapter. There's a cool world building thing here that I really liked, which is that this looks like a sandy desert. And someone, I don't remember who it was, like picks up some of the sand and is like, oh, this is like trash, which is old and has been ground down to dust to make a desert. I think that's like such a cool, like fucking world building thing to do. Like, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I love the aesthetic here. Have you watched Toonami as a kid, right?
Technically no. I never had cable as a child.
Okay, got it.
I'm aware of what aired on it, but I never watched
There was a show called Desert Punk, and he basically had a gas mask on it most times, and he had this and a duster. So it was like very much this aesthetic.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and they all have such a desert punk thing going on here with their dusters and their gas masks. It's fucking sick.
Yeah. I'm looking at pictures of it. It's interesting. Yeah. This reminds me, the thing this reminds me most of is like the desert in Nier Automata kind of. Where it's kind of like filled with buildings and destroyed past generations, but it's also a desert. So that was the vibe I got there.
The desert of ruined society.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of exactly what this is. So
yeah, totally. It's like 1-to-1 similar things.
We also get kind of reveals of everybody's face masks. I don't think I grabbed all of them here, but they all have really cool, unique designs. Like, I think Zonka's looks fucking sick. The like Oni single horn thing. But Rio's also looks cool. Yeah,
my favorite was that guy whose name I'm forgetting.
The big dude, or
the big dude's friend, Talmsy. Talmsy's face mask.
Yeah. Yes.
Is my favorite one. He has kind of a Splinter Cell Master Yi thing going for him.
I didn't grab a panel of it, but I should go find it. But and we get a reveal of Rudo's face mask, which is not even fully revealed. We don't see the back of it, but I do think it looks pretty sick. Looks pretty cool. I think Engines is my favorite so far. I don't know. I like his
Engines is very cool.
I like Engines. it's very Borderlands to me to bring up something that's in the news recently. It
It's
feels
funny,
like the
they're
cool
all
Borderlands helmet.
It does feel like that. Yeah, you're right. It's like the bandits in Borderlands.
Yeah, which is kind of makes sense. They're trash livers also.
Rudo's is also dope, but it's my least favorite of the lot. It's like all banger designs, so it's like they're all good, but Rudo's is like my least favorite.
Yeah, I want to see the kind of the full outfit garb, like the costume as a whole, I guess. I think this kind of zooms in and is like, okay, that's cool. How does it fit with everything else? I do like just artistically, they've done this a couple of times. Like when I think the last time was like when Rudo's like summoning the thing from the little hand heirloom in the last volume when he's doing the fight. They go into this like they have these like thick edged lines that are like very inked and stuff, and it gives a cool kind of artistic like a different style on these panels. Cool. And then chapter 30, which the title of this chapter is Vwer Kusnif, which I think is a great chapter title. We have one of the
I don't even know what that's meant to be.
I don't know, and it doesn't. I read the chapter, and it doesn't make any more sense afterwards.
Yeah, it doesn't.
One of the supporter guys is like taking notes on the type of like scorpion guys they're fighting. This is like mostly an action chapter, mostly a fighting chapter. Rio has some cool stuff. I think her fighting style is just awesome. Again, her like feet scissors thing. It just leads to some cool stuff. Her and Zonka kind of fight them off for a little bit. And then we have Engine doing his. I had to get the two panels in a row here because this is, Zonka. They kind of fight him off, and then from the sky you see like all this setup of like Engine like spinning and coming down, and then just doing fucking Octashredder and wiping out like all of them but one. Right,
which is just like Gurren Lagann shit right here.
This is like
through all of them.
Yeah, we haven't talked that much about the like upcoming anime. That's coming up. I want to say Q1 next year, 2025, or sometime next year. This is one of those scenes where I'm like, I want to see what this looks like. This is the thing that I'm like, I want to see them animate like the like 4-panel lead up, a spitting Engine from the sky, Octashredder to kill like 8 trash scorpions. Yeah, it's sick. This is a very, very cool action panel here.
Yeah,
so
that is awesome.
Yeah, but now it gets even better in my opinion. This is when I talked about my favorite final panel. It is in this chapter. So one of the trash things Rudo has was like a keyboard, which he sort of like empowers, which makes it look cool.
I get the title now, by the way.
Do you?
Because the Ver is Engine and burring through all these things with his drill, and the sniff is this girl sniffing.
Oh, okay. I guess so. Yeah, I guess she has like a smell thing.
That's just it. I don't know why it's called Ver sniff.
I'm gonna guess that's some kind of translation where they're like, this is as close as we can get. But this is the final page of the chapter, and it's so fucking hilarious that like what he does is he has his keyboard, he empowers it, he types the word turd face, and then it like hits the words like hit the scorpion and destroy it, and then he fucking flips them off, and he's like, ha. Like I think he looks better in this one as far as his face mask and stuff. Like I think it looks sicker with his hair sticking out. So I think that's cool. But yeah, the fact that he's just like, he calls everyone turd face. He just like types turd face on his empowered keyboard and it destroys, and then he flips him off at the end. Like, dang, that style, man. Like I love this.
Rudo's like having an internet argument, except he's fighting with it.
With a real thing.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. This is my favorite ending of any chapter in GACHIAKUTA so far, just because I thought, is like, oh, he's gonna, like a normal, decently creative battle shonen would have been like, oh, he empowers trash. Well, let's get a keyboard and he turns it into a big sword. It's a key sword. Ha ha ha. Fun times. And they're like, nope, he's gonna type the word turd face and it's gonna make an attack and destroy the thing, and then he's gonna flip off the camera. I love it. I don't know. I love it a lot too. We see this girl who I think it's kind of implied that she's maybe the girl we're looking for. End of next chapter tells us maybe she's not, but I think we're supposed to believe at this point that this is the girl that they're looking for. So
right.
Cool. And then the last chapter of the volume, chapter 31, called Visitors, kind of the aftermath of this battle. They mentioned that, if there's these trash monsters here, that means that underneath the sand, there's probably mountains of trash, which I don't know. I feel like that's more foreshadowing. I feel like there's going to be something with the amount of trash in these no man's land areas feels relevant to me, but I don't know how yet. So I'm just kind of marking a notch in it now.
Yeah, and I figure that's the implication because it's all ground up trash, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And here's the backup crew.
Yeah. So Delman and Tamsy show up. That's these two guys on the right. And they're kind of they've kicked up a bunch of dust, so there's kind of confusion in the battle. And as it kind of clears, the girl appears behind them. I think this is an awesome spread. I really like kind of simple with restraint. I think that it is even more testament to Urana's artistic talent in that she can do these hyper detailed, stylized, extra inked, graffiti laden things, and then she can do a sort of restrained spread like this, where it's literally just 4 characters and some sand and some dust, and it still looks really good. The composition of it is great. I really like that she has a range to do all that. So
yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah. So we get a flash. Did I grab a thing here? No, I guess I didn't. There's a flash of Jabber and the boss. Yeah, I didn't grab it. That's okay. There's a flash of Jabber and the boss. And they say something like, it's gonna be there. It's like the other one. And then the boss says to Jabber, like, you'll know it when you get there. And then it kind of flashes to these guys. We learned that this girl's name is Amo. Yeah, Amo. And she talks to her about herself in third person.
And she has kind of like a Godzilla style outfit on.
Yeah, very much so, with like the weird, freaky things like tied on her legs or whatever. Yeah, like a twisted Gothic Lolita. I think that's a good description of it.
I noted down that everyone in this society has fucking supermodel haircuts and hair in general.
Yes, the hair is awesome in this series.
They all have dope hair. Yeah.
Another artistic talent thing. Also, just again, like the reveal page of Rudo's mask was not that great. I think it just looks better with his hair around it for whatever
it does.
It just looks better in these. But yeah. So they're like, hey, you're here to see Amo, aren't you? And I think she still might be the one who saw all those people go up.
Probably.
They're like, hey, have you ever seen? Rio's just like, hey, have you ever seen people coming up to the ground or going to the sphere? And they're like, just like a little more subtle. She's like, I have. And she says she has. That's the woman we're looking for.
One thing to point out here, though, is that the artist, the previous artist who passed away, died from being exposed to like the air without having a mask on too much. And Amo here is coughing a lot and maskless, right?
Yeah.
So, but seemingly she is living in this area, this dangerous area, without a mask on, like going through the toxic surface. And I don't know, but she's coughing, so it's like clear she's not immune to it. So I don't know what's going on with her.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good point. I do wonder if, because I'm trying to remember. Maybe they were not in a poisonous place, but the last time we had a big fight, I feel like those raiders also weren't wearing masks, and I guess Zanka didn't either. Zanka and Rudo didn't have masks for that fight.
Yeah, they were in a city for that though.
Yeah, so I think that was just a less poisonous area or whatever. But I don't know. Something tells me there's going to be the story seems ripe for a group of people or a kind of person that does not need to wear a mask to go into the poison areas, whether that means that they're like poisoned in some way or what. But
seemingly she doesn't need the mask, but she's also coughing in every scene. So I don't know. It's like mixed signals a little bit.
Yeah. This is again more foreshadowing, and one of I think my favorite foreshadowing things here. This is Engine talking to Rio here is like, hey, like, do you want us all to go? Do you want somebody to hang back? And he's like, no, we'll all go. It's like, even if she's plotting something, I'd really prefer to settle this peacefully, if at all possible. If we end up having to fight anyway, I'll fight her. And Rio says, well, will you be okay? And Engine, who just did like a diving sky attack and killed 8 monsters at the same time, was like, I'm the best of all of us at pulling my punches. I fucking love this as like by the way, I am not at my full power yet. Like, I think it's such a cool foreshadowing, like, to be like, by the way, Engine, much stronger than we have seen so far. And we have seen him be very strong.
And I think it also works as a good gag, because it's like he didn't pull his punches at all, right? Like, that's him pulling his punches. It's like,
I think that's the implication, is that him doing that skydiving attack to kill 8 monsters is him pulling punches. Like, I think that if he went all out, he would, obliterate everybody in the area or something. So.
Yeah, it's just a good joke, because he's not good at pulling his punches, and the rest are presumably worse.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm under the implication that the strength that we have seen from Engine is like nowhere near his full strength. That's what I think this implies.
It's just both.
Yeah. So yeah, we get her again, kind of, the end of this volume comes pretty quick. Cause after this, we kind of skip to, they're with Amo in her, abode, house or something.
She has a sinister look on her face.
Yeah, she has a crazy look on her face. Engine coughs and passes out. Rido is up, and like that's it. Like, I think this is the last page of the volume. So
this is like a fake out, right? Like, it feels like a fake out where it's like Engine is not actually in huge trouble. He just saw something disgusting, or like she's a weirdo, or like a
maybe
or a fetishist or something.
Yeah, I can't.
Her room looked like a nerd's room.
The amount of this that I read originally was, I read probably the next volume is where I stopped reading it.
So you have the answer.
So I kind of know what's going to go on here, but I won't let on. But I don't remember many details. I just remember kind of the general of where everything goes. But yeah.
She had those like little ghosties, like those. I looked it up. It's called Teru Teru Bozu, which is a doll made in the final panel. It's not in here, but of this volume. But yeah, it's like she had a bunch of those in her room. It's like a doll that you make on a rainy day, wishing for sunny weather. I don't know why she had a bunch of those, but she had a bunch of those. So I'm assuming that her character is just, I don't know, some weirdo, and Engine saw some like strange fan fiction and couldn't stomach it.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
Yeah, like I said, I only kind of vaguely remember where this goes. I do not remember any details of it. I guess we'll find out next week. But yeah, I mean, that's volume 4. So any yeah, I mean, overall, I thought this was good. A good volume. Again, I thought this was a lot of good world building. A lot of good foreshadowing that I think we mentioned that I'm hoping most or all of it pays off. Only one kind of minor fight. Like I said, it seems to me that the volumes are kind of going to do like 7 or 8 chapters of like, we're setting stuff up. They're getting to a new place. We're introducing new characters and locations. We're doing world building. And then we're going to get to a point like this where it's like, okay, we're now about to have a fight is what I'm assuming. So,
right. Yeah, I love this volume. I think Canvas Town was like my favorite part of the series so far. Mm-hmm. So yeah, all in all, it's been a fun read so far.
Yeah, it's been really good. I'm not enjoying it any less with this. Trying to think if there's anything else. I just wrote some interesting planting seeds of the future. I thought Rio talking about her parents, Rio's power maybe from Dad's gloves. We talked about that. Engine being very strong, Jabber and his boss still in the background plotting. I like that. Cliffhanger ending again. I think that's exciting. And the graffiti art person is, of course, very skilled. Yeah. So I think that's it. Any other final thoughts? Do you have a favorite part of the volume?
Yeah, Canvas Town.
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah. I like the artist girl. I think she's my favorite. I like her goblin mode energy, and also her the difference between her and Engine's thought processes on on these whatever they call the tools, the items, cherished items.
Vital instruments.
Vital instruments. I like their differing thoughts on how they work, how they should work, and I don't know. The artist mindset, kind of the meta narrative of that whole arc was, I don't know, it was a pleasure to see. I love moments where you can kind of, the author flat out tells you, hey, this is how I feel about a certain thing, but doesn't make it feel like super forced. It towed the line super well.
Yeah, I agree. It was like, I could tell that this was meta commentary of this is the author's feelings on art, but also it fit into the story really well. So
exactly.
Yeah, I like Canvas Town. I really liked Rudo washing his gloves and talking to Rio. I like that scene. And then of course I just Rudo typing on the powerful keyboard, turd face, and flipping off the camera. I don't know. That just like exudes the style and makes me like Rudo even more.
I want to see how the big guy and Talmsy, what their fighting styles and their divine tools are.
Delman and Tamsy?
Yeah. Talmsy?
Is it Talmsy or Tamsy?
I think there's an L in there.
Delman. I just have it as Tamsy, but maybe it's Talmsy. I don't know.
I don't know. Doesn't
matter.
matter.
my guess would be because so we've seen Engine fight like a little bit twice. The last fight was Rudo and Zonka did most of the fighting against Jabber. If I had to guess, I would think that this next fight is going to be Delman and Tamsy and Rudo. That those guys have been kind of introduced and they're like a little bit more prominent, right? I mean, they're the ones who kind of end up standing with him like here on this panel. So
right.
My guess would be that if someone new is going to get a time to shine, I think it's going to be one or both of these guys. So
yeah, I think you're right, and I want to see what's up with Delman's like winch type thing he carries.
Mm-hmm. On his back here.
Yeah.
I
don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm excited. It kind of really sucks. I mean, it's a good cliffhanger, I guess, because you get to the end of this volume and you're like, wait, I want to keep reading. Like, what happens? I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, what's this going? But I think that's just good. Good writing, good and a good cliffhanger that makes you want to keep going. So,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it. Anything else, Gautam? GACHIAKUTA Volume 4?
Nope. I think we're all good.
Cool. Let's get out of here. Hey, thanks again, everybody, for listening or watching. Next week, we're going to be doing, of course, Volume 5, continued discussions and deep dives. Be sure to check out the Patreon if you want to support what we do. Get some more book clubs out there throughout the year. Check out Twitter if you want to see me fight with people. If you are a weekly manga reader of stuff like Shonen Jump, Weekly Shonen Magazine, if you read GACHIAKUTA week to week, come check out our weekly podcast that is on this channel. I think that's all for this episode of the GACHIAKUTA Book Club read-through. So, adios.
See you later.
And don't forget to read more manga.